Blog Talk Radio.
Yo, what's up, world? It's badass thuggin' like I usually do, and you better turn it up, bust some speakers out, cause we off the motherfucking cuff. You dig how we do it? Dog Pound Gangsters 2000 and beyond. Blah.
Yo, check this out. This is your girl, Cola Vogue, and I'm chilling with my boys right here on Off the Cuff Radio. Cause we off the cuff right now. You dig?
Bet. What's up? It's your boy Lil Yap from UNLV, bragging up from the river, cooling with my homies and my family at Off the Cuff Radio. Y'all be sure to tune in on Fridays and get the latest scoop and find out what's happening. You heard me?
Tiffany Lavon.
And it's Queen Queasy, your girl's favorite bartender.
And we're from
Sex on the Rocks podcast.
Alright, you're now tuning in to Off the Cuff Radio.
Yeah, because they keep representing that world hip hop. Yo, much love.
Alright. Y'all, this is Princess Daisy giving a shout out to King Eric and Off the Cuff Radio. Keep doing your thing, puppy.
Hey y'all, this is Stacia Lachey giving a shout out to King Eric and Off the Cuff Radio.
What's shaking, y'all? This is the Grand, one half of Lost Cause and 1/3 of that Drive Time thing. Sending my love to the homies over at Off the Cuff Radio. Tune in every Friday night for some real deal hip-hop conversation. These dudes are the connoisseurs of this thing. You already know what it is. BX Stand Up, Hud City, we're shaking. Peace.
Yo, this is Dope Fresh to Dine, and y'all tuned in to the most raw, uncut show on radio, the Guillotine Team, Off the Cuff, and yo, Eric, Sandman, off of these clowns' heads.
Of the underground lies a contender with the mind of a poet and the soul of a winner. Been held back for so long, now here's my chance to have them bumping my music again, doing my dance, representing to the fullest, still holding it down. Time to really clown, St. Clair strutting for Town. On a new page and stage, and life still bringing new ruckus, suckers run for cover, Mohart back, you know it's over. Been a long hiatus and now I'm back in the race. If you can only see the look on your face, full of disgrace, cut to the chase, revenge is a dispatch servo. OG broke the hole, no reason for your slight show. My game so cold, behold, take hold of the situation. No time for contemplating, time now for confrontation. I'm back in the mix, selling from the 216, and I'm here to bring up a fix while I bag these chips. Cause
you know where I've been, you know where I'm from. Now I'm about to be on one.
I'm about to be on one.
You know where I've been, you know what I've done. Now I'm about to be on one.
About to be on one. So better watch yourself, cause little man's a beast. Jive turkey, you beat little man's on feast. I'm not your average everyday run of the meal type guy. Even when I'm not dressed to the T, I still remain super fly. Never think you can approach, talking smack, got your power. Kinda thinking right there, gon' have your whole head swollen. Plot my position. Now I got to play the part. I've been this way since the beginning, yeah, I got more heart. I keep a mean team, my hot heads will be ready to start. Do my dirt by my lonesome from the jump, I get it crunk. Reserve and never change, just call me seasons. When they warn you about the king, you better not believe them. Been at the top of the game, but didn't get too far. Now that I'm back, you know I gotta raise the bar. Bye-bye to your haters, I'm excelling the new heights. Got my OG on my side, now I'm prepared for bigger fights. Cause
I've been, you know where I'm from. Now I'm about to be on one.
I'm about to be on one.
You know where I've been, you know what I've done.
My lady's been acting shady, it's really driving me crazy. Never been lazy, try to stay busy for all my babies. Got a lot of people around, they would step on me. Father warned me, never trust him as far as the eye can see. This is deeper than flesh and bones, coming straight from the spirit. Victory's been assured, I know my enemy's fearing it. All tooth and nail so the king can finally hear of it. Been down bad for so long, now them days is over with. My destiny is evident. No weapon formed against me shall ever prosper, and that's imminent. My game is heaven sent, I'm eloquent. At the end of the day, that's why I remain so prevalent.
You know where I've been, you know where I'm from. Now I'm about to be on one.
I'm about to be on one.
You know where I've been, you know what I've done. Now I'm about to be on one.
We about to be on one.
You know where I've been, you know where I'm from. Now I'm about to be on one.
I'm about to be on one.
You know where I've been, you know what I've done. Now I'm about to be on one.
We about to be on one.
The time has come. Let us unite.
My Heavenly Father's children, the time has come for judgment, Armageddon. False prophets never blended, for we are revelation angels descending from our sins. No need to pretend, who provided me oxygen, I love since I began. Praying you wash away my sins. Babylon the Great has fallen. Offsprings of the wicked one call, fearing their day of their Lord's call. Blessed be the seeds of the Almighty. Destination of sin others, burn eternally and wait for Him.
You better recognize it in the coming, you be wishing. It wasn't time to die, 'cause I can see it, I can feel it. It's all in my bones, and ain't no telling where you living. You're dead and gone, but strong. We gon' do this war, I thought you do this all. You better be prepared with you. Look out, boy. No evil is I'ma get done, bring you kingdom. Hey, tell me where you're running to. It's when I find you, the mark of a beast, so you're not a survivor. So it's time to die. Kiss ourselves goodbye. The whole world bites the dust. Couldn't live what corrupted us. Get up. And get yourself together. Get your kickers and rebelling. Gotta learn them with the lesson. It's tough. You brought caught up in your own web. And it's your fault. Got no fault. I'ma get about half you broke off, but still. You don't wanna learn. Turn too close to that fire get burned. Murder is coming to get us, believe it. You get it funny, get it. Feel like it with us, keeping us, killing us, like finna get rid of us. Wicked ones into the world. When I fall in the cover, I'm telling me, feeling me now. How silly can we be? It's just midday as we sleep. And there ain't no other road. Yes, it's the only way to go. Murder is coming to get us all the same time. Armageddon. Murderous ways, and you, everybody see that anybody pray, but it's much too late. If you have not been told, don't just be day, bless your face. And you can't say wait, you imagine. See your life, and then I mean your life just flash it. What you gon' do? Rest your life, or do you wanna die? Rest your life, Somebody calling me, telling me you better get up to end. It's coming, they coming, they gotta believe it. I know it's here. Look at it. You ain't trying to be outside when the sun no longer shines. That's fine. Look at your back. Well, all from the ground, all free. We all take it from the pole. You catch the first
I'm
blow.
giving my praise to the Lord above me. No one can say I know the difference between life and death. Then why you life, I think your life will live forever. Who put you on that level?
It was a lie, was denied, told you boy he take you better.
Never put anything before your ear. I did mother and father, you're gonna live forever in the King of Peace. The man, he got something for me. He gave us life. He's going out to the store. Gonna make it pop.
Shall be great earthquakes, and the sun becomes as black as sackcloth, and the moon as blood, and the stars of heaven shall fall unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heavens will depart as a scroll, and it is rolled together, and every mountain and island will move out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man shall hide themselves in the dens, and in the rocks of the mountains, and shall say to the mountain and the rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Who shall be able to stand? Who shall be able to stand?
It's your boy King Eric the Great from Off the Cuff Radio, letting y'all know that Cocaine's Finger Roll album is now available at www.buddyboyentertainment.com. Produced entirely by West Coast Stone, Finger Roll features hit singles such as Like Daddy, Like Daughter, Do It Coca, and I'm So Hood, which can also be found on all streaming platforms. Hard copies, MP3s of Finger Roll, alongside with Kings of Funk, Lemonhead, and all content related to Cocaine and Buddy Boy Entertainment are also available at www.buddyboyentertainment.com. Support the movement, y'all.
Yes, indeed, y'all. We in the building right here for a special Thursday night edition of Off the Cuff Radio, the livest hip-hop show on weekly Friday nights. But we've decided to come at y'all with a Thursday night special. This is your host of the evening, King Eric the Great. You can call me Rick Capo. And I got my man, my tag team partner of this hip-hop podcast thing, T-Max with the facts right here. Reunited.
What it do? TNT, Thursday Night Terrificness, OTC. Y'all know, Off the Cuff Radio, sponsored by Buddy Boy Entertainment, Da Vinci Entertainment. Shout out to, of course, our esteemed head host, Rick Capo, a.k.a. King Eric, our co-host in spirit, a lot of Sandman and Lady Chinchilla, and we about to get illa.
Yes, indeed, y'all. Call number is 1-619-924-0703 if you want to chop it up, leave shout-outs, request songs, or you want to ask our guests of the night any questions. So without further ado, let me give him a brief introduction. You heard this man as a part of hip-hop history. You first heard the Poetic Hustlaz on their debut on the last cut of East 1999, sponsored the Double Glock. Then you heard him on the Mo Thugs project. Then you heard him on Poetic Hustlaz. And now he's doing his solo thing. And who knows? We hoping that a Mo Thugs reunion and a Poetic Hustlaz album is coming. So let's all welcome my man, Mr. Mo Hart, in the building.
Yeah.
Great evening. What's good?
What's going on, man?
What's happening?
What's going on, man? Thank you.
Oh, so much.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Great. Everything good.
Man, we appreciate you so much being on our show tonight, man. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Definitely. Well, as King said, you know what I'm saying, you were, with your tremendous talents, you were aligned with one of the most tremendously legendary groups in hip-hop history with Bone Thugs and Harmony. And, not many artists get to say that they worked, side by side in such a cohesive and consummate fashion with legendary luminaries in the game. So, yeah,
no
man,
doubt.
But before we get all into how you met them, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and just the trajectory of your interest in hip hop, and how it just, and how it, would springboard you, into making it a career.
Okay. Well, first off, coming from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised, you know what I'm saying? I am the only boy of 3 children to my mother and father, who are still married to this day. You know what I'm saying?
God bless. Yep.
No doubt. Just growing up, being instilled with, just persistency and, just consistency, persistency, and just being real to yourself, being true to yourself, and being who you are, and making that your statement, to the world. You know what I'm saying? In anything that you do. So I took that in, I soaked that in, and I just I just expound on that. I was very interested in music and entertainment as a youngster, dancing, first off dancing, then I got into singing, then I got into instruments. At one point I was playing xylophones and doing shows with xylophones and recorders, then went from that to doing, shows in telling drama and acting and things like that. So, it was always a part of me to be in entertainment, and I knew it was always something that I wanted to pursue as an adult.
Your musical influences for that.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who are some of your musical influences? Yeah.
You say my musical influences?
Yeah.
Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, I'll have to say Run DMC, Slick Rick, all the greats, that were before my time, that really paved the way and really had had something to say and made a statement, as far as hip hop is concerned. I can name off a plethora of artists, but those are the ones that I can, just spit off at the moment.
The OG Kings of rap.
Yeah, man.
I didn't hear you.
Now,
the OG Kings of rap.
Kings of rap.
No doubt.
So growing up in Cleveland, what was the hip hop scene like growing up for you locally in terms of a lot of artists you saw? Was it pretty much established, or because we know about Bone Thugs growing up on East St. Clair in '99?
Right.
And that was our first introduction. But before them, who were some of the artists locally who were the paving the way to for that local hip hop scene along the time that you were beginning to make your come up with it?
Well, once I was aware of the hip hop scene and became aware of the hip hop scene in Cleveland, there was Pratt and I forget the other guy's name. Reddy Rocks. K Chill. Those were the artists that were here that were doing something at that time. What's the other guy's name? MC Breed. No, not MC Breed. Yeah, MC Bree.
I thought MC. I didn't know MC Bree. I thought MC Bree was originally from Michigan. I didn't know he was from Ohio originally.
Yeah, he's from here. He's from here.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that because I thought he always represented Flint, Michigan, but I didn't know he was from Ohio originally. Matter of fact, there's also another legendary rapper, Cash from the Alcoholics. I believe he's originally from Ohio as well.
Yeah,
really? I did not see. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe he's originally from
Ohio. Ohio has a real dope hip hop scene. Even Mac from No Limit, he's from Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, look, we all schooling each other on it. So, yeah, man. So basically seeing that, so a lot of times in terms of an area, with the local artists, because when you're dealing with certain places like, of course, New York, Atlanta, L.A., Houston, Texas in general, the one thing about it in the area is just basically trying to build up you're seen on the national spotlight in reference to showcasing local talent. But I think more important than anything, and we talk about this on the show a lot, is basically about how you're able to establish your reputation as an artist and most notably as a performer in your hometown, because that really is able to galvanize the movement in your favor that really propels you to the next level of national prominence. How long when you were starting out with your, in terms of really getting serious about your rhyming, how long did it really take you to perfect your craft in terms of really becoming polished to the point that you knew you were ready to take it into the next level of being a professional performer?
You know what? It really took some time for me. When I really knew that I was ready, it was like I was immediately catapulted into it, because at some point my parents were trying to keep me away from the hip hop scene. They were exchanging hip hop tapes for Christian rap tapes. I was listening to Christian rap music, so I had both sides of of hip hop. I had people, sneaking these songs. I had people sneaking these songs so I can hear what was going on the other aspect, on the street level, on the worldly aspect, and still listening to the gospel rap. So it was intriguing to me, and it played a part in who I am today. As we're sitting here talking, I'm realizing, because no one has ever asked me those pertinent questions before. So it definitely hip hop became something of a thing for me once I was 14 years old. And just dealing with the different styles that I was listening to and the different genres that I was listening to, it was like, wow, I want to be here. You know what I'm saying? I want to. I can see myself expressing my creativity through one of these avenues. So I was more of a singer before anything. I wasn't a rapper. I wasn't an MC. I wasn't a lyricist. I was singing before anything. I went from playing instruments to doing dramatizations and plays in school to singing to rapping. So everything played a part for me, and here I am, on the 180 side.
Yeah, especially when that was around that time. Especially around that time in the 80s and the 90s, where you start seeing the apex of creativity just hitting the flourish point. It inspires anybody to just want to be like, man, I got to get in this. I want my vision to be heard as well.
Yeah. That's where it was. That's where it was for me.
Now I wanted to definitely when you said Christian rap, I definitely wanted to get your opinion in terms of the duality between Christian rap and traditional hip hop, because of course with Christian rap you had groups like the Gospel Gangsters, you had labels like Grape Tree Records, and of course you had BBJ back in the day as well, just to name a few. How do you see Christian rap paralleling with the traditional street-oriented styles of hip-hop in terms of, because there's always been, in any genre, especially, with heavy metal, like in heavy metal as well, where you had the harder bands like Slayer, Megadeth, and 80s, you also had bands like Stryper, who were more of who had more of a Christian-oriented type theme in their rock music. And, of course, just because, we've had, and then, of course, in other metal bands, you have more bands that have more satanic themes like Venom, Morbid Angel, Deicide, and such. And in hip-hop, while we never had a satanic group, we've had groups that were very kind of on the edge in terms of that macabre sounds, in terms of horrorcore like 3 6 Mafia with their early stuff, and, of course, Esham and the Flatliners as well. How do you see Christian hip-hop, going back to the question, how you see Christian hip-hop and traditional hip-hop mingling, and, just how, well, you go ahead, because I'll ask the other part after you answer that,
Well, what I really feel is, at some point, there has to be a level of projecting whatever it is that you're projecting out there. So rather it be whatever side of the coin you're on, whether it be good or bad, whether it be good or bad, you want to be able to differentiate and get your message out there. As far as that goes, so I'm going to say that there's at some point there is some complexity, but I think you get more projection of the worldliness that it in a sense it kind of overshadows Christian rap. But then at the same time, it's like, the way that you get the message out there may be the answer. You know what I'm saying? You have different ways of creativity of projecting a message, but then. What is the person really listening for? They're looking for a visual, and they're listening to a sound that at some point is repetitious. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what catches the attention of the audience, from the beginning. The music, and then what you're saying, the projection of positivity. Sometimes you have to be more creative at getting it out there, as opposed to just what's been repetitive all these years, as far as hip hop, and where the split comes into play at, as far as hip hop and gospel hip hop.
Definitely, and I think that's something that has always been a complex issue. Definitely. I myself, believing in Christ, and I think we all, here feel the same way. But of course, our audience out there, whatever religion you believe in, whether you believe in spirit or agnostic or what have you. But I think just from a core sense of marketing, because when you look at the essence of hip hop in terms of where it was rooted in street culture. It was a street expression. Right. And that's where I think a lot of times when you look at the divide with it, I think that's where a lot of times where, as especially when the music began to gain more momentum in reference to its popularity, and especially with religion being very big in the black community and black culture in general. So you're always going to have the old school, a lot of the older generation who felt like, because this is the same way rap is black people's rock and roll. The way rock and roll started becoming prevalent in the 50s and 60s, and how they thought this was going to ruin, how white parents were thinking that, this is going to ruin it for the youth, and how especially in black culture, when hip-hop became, more of a thing in the 80s, this was our expression from our experience. The culture was born out of a marginalized demographic of black and Latin people. So this was how we were able to tell our stories. And because it was based in the streets, it wasn't always pretty. But what we saw then is people were thinking about, do you have to curse so much? And I'm like, maybe we can bring, and while I love the Lord, I think it's always been tricky because when you look at America in general, we have always had a fascination with gangster and street culture, whether it be black, whether it be the mafia, or whether it be gangs. Which is why I think it was always harder for Christian rap to find its foothold because, a lot of the times people were not really ready, especially for what, it's like, how do I make this analogy?
They don't want to be beat over the head with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like drinking. It's kind of like having non-fat ranch dressing on your salad. It doesn't taste as good as the full fat.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. It's like having NutraSweet in your coffee or tea, sipping the tea, but it's not as good as the real sugar because you're not getting the authentic in terms of what you're accustomed to. Doesn't mean But in this context, it doesn't mean that Christian rap is bad. It's just about, how hard can you really be, talking about Christ? The last time we heard Christ, it pull out a fofo and smoke somebody. So,
Right.
So it's kind of hard to market it. Yeah.
Right.
But I think, especially because of hip hop culture in general, I think there's always been room for so much. I think it's also about what, people feel can be marketed. Like I said, going back to BBJ in I believe 2001, 2002, he had his album Universal Concussion, and that was when they were trying to, market more of that Christian themes, but it's just something that, lyrically, dude was nice. I mean, he even had a vocal inflection like Biggie, but it's like, it's kind of like you're just waiting for that, that go hard turn up, and it's like it never comes, and it's kind of hard to really galvanize an audience to really get behind you on it.
Right.
Where, we all have that, desire. I mean, when we first heard, when you cited Slick Rick as one of your earliest influences, and for our audience out there who's ever listened to The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, that is like one of the most wildest albums ever recorded in the history of rap.
From beginning to end.
Yes. I mean,
from beginning to end.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows about Mona Lisa, and Children's Story, but when you talk, when we talk about the hardcore songs like Indian Girl and all that, For our listeners out there, if you've never listened to The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, go get that and listen to it, and you'll see what I mean.
Now, honestly, that's where I really started gravitating more towards, you know, hip hop as we know it, as you and I know it, as the world knows it today. That's where I really gravitated once I heard that album. Once I heard, you know, I had already heard KRS-One, you know, I had already heard, Run DMC, you know, already heard, you know, the others. But it was like, once I heard, you know, the way that Slick Rick delivered his verses on that album, I was like, you know what? I'm about to do hip hop. You know, I'm about to get into hip hop. You know, I was a singer. I started off, you know, in aspiring to be a singer. You know, not a rapper, not an MC. You know, I wanted to be. I wanted to sing. That's what I wanted to bring, you know, to the world. Singing, you know, my songs.
And who
who
are your singing influences?
Gerald Levert, number one. Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat. Babyface. Eddie Levert. You know, Eddie Levert and his crew. You know, I'm down with the OJs. I love for the OJs. Love and respect for the OJs. You know, Temptations, Smokey Robinson. You know, Frankie Beverly and the Maze. You know, those are the guys that I was listening to. Those are the songs that my mother was listening to. You know, those are the guys that my mother was listening to, and my dad as well. Al Green, Barry White. You know, I can sing, you know, but I had a fascination and you know, a love for hip hop and just spitting, so and wordplay. So I was just like, you know, I'm gonna do that instead. I'll do that. I'll do the other stuff in the you know, in the mix. But I'm going to try my hand at spitting, because that wasn't something that, you know, that I really wasn't doing at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? It was until I heard Slick Rick that I said, I'm gonna do that.
So when you pretty much committed yourself to that aspect of rhyming, what was it like sitting down and writing your first 16 bars in terms of really trying to understand, you know, in terms of developing your own style? Because composition is the essential part of the craft and the culture. And, you know, a lot of times we talk about this on the show a lot, about how, you know, we are, you know, how we a lot of us, we have aspirations to write. But the thing is, really understanding the time, the patience, the persistence, the perseverance, you know, and the determination to really, really come with something, you know, and it takes a lot of trial and error, you know, writing and erasing. What was it like for you when you really, you know, sat down, you know, really realized in terms of like writing, like, man, this is like not easy? Or did it come easy for you?
Well, I've always been taught, you know, to write. I've always been a writer. I've always wrote essays, and this is what I had to do outside of school. This is what my father, this is the curriculum my father had for me outside of school. I was always taught to learn new words and learn the definitions of the words. In school, I excelled at spelling, so words were always, you know, and spelling words was always a thing of fun for me. So for me to, you know, spell and then to play with the words and then to be a writer, all that came into play. And then to write out what I'm thinking, that was like something awesome to me, and for me to be able to know how to format it and put it together and then to present it, you know, that all that together, I was like, oh yeah, this is you know, this is how you do it, you know, because I've been groomed. Everything that I'm doing now, I've been groomed for it from the time that I was able to, you know, acknowledge that I was able to do something, you know, these things. Like I said, I was taught to sing. I learned how to write. You know, whether it was an essay or whether it was I had to give a report on what I read in a book. And I had to read a book. It wasn't a 10-page book. I was reading books where it was like 50 to 100 to, you know, it was pages, and I had to give what I understood of what I read from the book. That was my duty for my father. That I had to do those things. You know, this is the curriculum that he set up for me outside of school. So that played a major part in me already having that you know, that molding and that knowledge of being able to write. So when it was time for me to sit down to write and put my mind to it, it was a challenge, but it wasn't a challenge because I was already able to acknowledge what I wanted to say and how I was going to say it. Now it was yet to how I was going to inflect it once I speak it out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can write it. You can visualize it and write it down, but how are you going to inflect it or project it out? You know, once it comes out of your mouth, once you take it from the paper, from inward, and then speaking it outwardly. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it has to be something that's going to be able to stick with the person. That's my dad taught me that, you know, early on. He said when you write something, you want it to be able to be read and understood, and that you know that what you're talking about, and the person that's reading it knows what you're talking about, and they can relate to what you're speaking on. You know, so that's always been my fundamental and my foundation for writing, and that's always been my key function.
You know, another thing I learned. And this is what I had to deal with when I got in trouble before. I remember with my uncle, I stayed at my uncle's house for summertime. And whenever I would get in trouble, you know how a lot of parents, they would take away their video games. They literally made me read for almost a whole day. Like, they'll keep me in the house and read. Like, you have to read the newspaper from front to back. And then you have to tell them, they had to tell them, when you got to comprehend everything that you just read, or else you don't get your video game.
Yeah, man. You know, and it's funny, man, because, you know, when you said about, you know, how you articulate your rhymes, there are two artists that to me immediately come to mind in terms of, you know, who pretty much on both sides of it were just some of the illest sitters, you know, to ever really do it. Of course, there are two of my favorite MCs ever. Of course, Razzcast and Rap. And when you listen to those guys in terms of their spitting, you know, like with Cool G, because he had a lisp on it, you know, but it's like, even with a lisp, Cool G was still like just one of the illest in terms of when you really could break down what he was saying. You know, like the opening verse on the Run off the 1992 Live and Let Die release. I got a job with the mob making G's, doing some pickups, deliveries, and transporting keys. Yeah, they got me like a flunky. I'm riding around with 10 kilos inside my trunk, G, and I'm holding a suitcase with $500,000 whatever my motherfucking face, and I'm trying to ignore it. but sometimes I get tempted to make a motherfucking run for it. It's all alone. I mean, this is just basic, but it's how he's, basically painting the story in terms of, because you're seeing the story unfold. And then we have Razzcast on a Soul on Ice remix from 1996, the Diamond D remix. He spits his first verse, the Waterproof MC. You ain't wetting me. You need to stop rapping and start robbing banks like Steady B, because see, no matter how much green you make, you never taste an avocado. Just another broke Versace model. Tiger Woods ain't even up to par in the game of survival. That's why I'm pissing in y'all Cristal bottles. Drink Listerine, brush my teeth with amphetamine so I can sound fresh and say dope things in between. And I'm like, whoa. I mean,
and I gotta give it up. Rakim was another one of my influences. I cannot for the life of me forget Rakim. Rakim was a great influence of mine.
I think Rakim influenced the whole. Rakim influenced
he influenced a whole new generation of MCs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta give props and praise to the master.
Now, and you gotta remember, and it's funny, when he came out in '86, when him and Eric B dropped Paid in Full, he was 17 years old writing Paid in Full. For our listeners again, for our listeners once again, if you've never heard Paid in Full, the lyrics is one thing, because the lyrics are some of the most immaculately incredible ever composed to wax.
Yes.
But think about this. The man was 17 years old when he wrote that album.
Right.
I'm like, man.
Right. Right.
Yeah, big shout out to Rakim, man. Matter of fact, not to plug another radio station, but Rakim is on the Breakfast Club. If anything, that man deserves a lot of accolades based off the foundation and the lyrics that he pioneered.
Better believe it.
So check that interview out on the Breakfast Club right there. We normally don't plug other interviews, but man, that's Rakim right there. He's the father, the alpha omega of all this.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Love and respect. Rakim. That's it. Like I said, I gotta give up them P's, man, because you asked me to name off some people that were my influences, and I'm sitting here, and as we're speaking, I'm thinking about Rakim. You know what I'm saying? Something that he was, some of his rhymes and stuff, and I gotta throw him out there. Shouts out, love and respect. Because he, I'm where I am. I'm who I am. Because of his tutelage. I come up under his tutelage.
Definitely, man. This is all. This is off the cuff radio.
Go ahead, T-Max.
Okay. Well, see.
I had many teachers. How they always try to have you categorize you as one teacher, and this one teacher teach you everything. No, I had many teachers. I had teachers that teach me.
Well, I mean, it's like when it's like with Beethoven. Beethoven had numerous teachers, and he's widely considered the greatest composers. With Antonio Solari and C.G. Neff, those were two of his music teachers. So in terms of how you, and there was three. I'm remiss. I can't remember the other one right offhand. But it's all. But those are the two I remember right offhand. But it's like when you're dealing with the art of composition, because in order to really become a great, nobody becomes well versed in their craft by just having one teacher, because you draw by many influences that are able to make your game, no matter whether you're a pro athlete or a pro MC, multifaceted in your craft. And here we are on a Thursday night. This is Off the Cuff Radio, sponsored by Da Vinci Clothing and Buddy Boy Entertainment with King Eric, the ruler, myself, T-Max the Facts. We are here with the legendary Mo Hart. So, man, I mean, tell us more about, as you progress in your career, because, there's this group from Cleveland that you was affiliated with. We first back in the day saw them in the Source magazine, some dudes, and we heard about Easy because, of course, Easy was bringing in some new guys, and they went by the name of Bone Thugs and Harmony. And they first had their debut EP, Creeping on the Come Up, in 1994.
Right.
And, of course,
Right.
their album would eventually drop in 1995.
Right.
Did you know them before they actually got on, or was that something after they got on? That's when y'all made the connection.
Say that one more time.
I said, now, did you know all of them beforehand, before they got on, or was that something you made that connection with them after they got on with Easy?
No. We were all tight before they got on. You know, we were all on 99. Mo Thug was Mo Thug before it became Mo Thug. We were Mo Thug on the street. You know, so we were putting it down like that. You know what I'm saying? We were a street clique. You know, we were doing our thing. You know, running from one end to the next. You know what I'm saying? Doing what we had to do. You know, but we were breaking bread. We were together breaking bread. You know, every step of the way. You know, so when them boys left to go do what they had to do, you know, they came back and swooped everybody up that, you know, they said they were going to come back and swoop up.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Mo, because there was one thing about Bone Thugs, and this goes back to the roots of singing as well in terms of what you did, because their harmonization, because their 12 notations in music, in terms of anybody who understands music theory, there are 12 total notes in music. But in terms of how you arrange those harmonies that give you a melody and a symphony behind it, not only were those guys exceptionally talented lyrically, when they actually had their harmonies, they were unbelievable in terms of their harmony. When you were making your transition from rapper to singer, singer to rapper rather, what was the difference you saw in terms of how you had to structure your harmonies as opposed from a singing, in terms of having your octaves, you know, in terms of your keys you were singing in, as opposed to rapping in certain cadences and delivery? How was that adjustment for you?
I mean, I'm one person that, you know, I'm a fast learner. You know, you can put me in front of something and show it to me one time. You show me that one time or that second time. Once you show me that one or two times, I got it from there. And once I saw how, you know, how they were moving, I had to you have to figure out how to, you know, come in. It's just like playing double dutch. You got to learn how to be able to come in. You know, your other teammates already in there, and they doing their thing, and they got the rhythm going. You got to be able to ride the rhythm like them, but come in with your own thing though. And see, that's always been my thing. I've always been a person that I've always wanted to stand out. I never wanted to be like, you know, like a copycat, or like I'm clinging to a person. You're gonna know me for me as a part of being a part of these guys, but you're gonna know me for being me, for me being who I am. You know, a part of this. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I've always, you know, it's just like I said, in that double dutch. So we go back to that double dutch analogy. You know, I'm one of the ones. I see the rhythm. I got the rhythm, and now I got to get myself together so that I can ride the rhythm, and I can do my thing. And once I got that under control, it was on and popping.
And you know what was ill about Boom too was, see, a lot of people, they came up. We always had fast rhythm spitters. Even Kane, he was a fast rhythm spitter, but that wasn't really it was a part of his style. Then you had Twister, then you had Tretch. But see, I never heard anybody do it like Bone Diggers. They put like straight up harmonizing.
Man, it's extras. They got that. They got extras with it. It's extra. It's kicking caboodles. You got the whole nine. When you got them, you man, there's so much going on. You can't help but to gravitate toward it. You feel me? Because it's intriguing. It's intriguing. You know what I'm saying? And it's rhythmic. You're going to instantly be captured. You feel me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you singing songs like Mr. Bill Collector. That song stuck in my head throughout that whole summer when that East 1999 dropped.
But I can tell you though, man. I mean, when we first heard Thuggish Ruggish Bone, man. I mean, that was just something that because you had shout out to Satasha Williams. You know, for those who may have not known who the girl was singing the hook on that, Satasha Williams, who is an exceptional talented vocalist in her own right. But to hear her bring in that chorus, you know, and then you hear them just drop the rhymes after that, it's like, man, I mean, we were just blown away. We didn't know coming in because, of course, Eazy's, you know, reputation after the NWA, you know, incident was just, there was a lot of people who didn't really know what he was going to bring, and then when there was a word that he had a new group that he was bringing out, we didn't know what to expect. And when, you know, they came, it was like, wow, you know, it's like, you know, but we definitely did not know that what was going to come, and especially, you know, with, you know, artists like yourself, you know, and everybody else that would eventually become the Mo Thugs family, because that would eventually come on the compilation album as well.
Right.
Tell us about that time frame from where Bone got signed to where ultimately, you know, all of you would come along in terms of getting on and how the label would start and how y'all eventually, how that compilation would eventually come. Because I got a couple of those Source and Double XL magazines, and I saw the spreads for the advertisers. I'm like, damn, there's a lot of motherfuckers in this family.
They're like, yo.
Well, actually, what happened was, like I said, when they left to get on, you know, they left, you know, we got bus tickets up. Now the whole time they grinding. We grinding. We out there grinding, and you know, we getting up the, you know, they're getting up the bus fare and everything to get gone. So we threw a couple parties, and the last party we had was actually them leaving. They were actually leaving. Now these guys are finna leave the city and they heading to LA. So threw a nice party. These guys leave. Next thing you know, they come back. By the time they come back, I'm sitting in jail. But the whole time that they're away, you know, they're calling us on the phone. You know, they're calling the payphone. This is back when we had payphones. They calling the payphone from out there where they at. They calling the payphone, and you know, we posted up at the payphone every day. They calling us, seeing what's up with us, we seeing what's up with them, you know, making sure everything cool, you know, we checking in back home. So they make so once we get that established, you know, they're letting us know, yeah, we coming back. When we come back, boom, 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 boom. That's what it's gonna be. So once they establish that, like I said, I'm sitting in jail. They come back for the first of the month. Not the first of the month, but the Thuggish Ruggish Bone video, which was the the first joint. So when they come back to do that, I'm sitting in jail, and I actually have a conversation with Busy over the phone. You know, I done call home, and actually my cousin Sin from Graveyard Shift, that's my actual cousin, you know, I call home, and, you know, he accepted my call. We chopping it up, and he said, you know, Busy right here, the boys in town, you know what I'm saying, they about to shoot the video, Thuggish Ruggish Bone, you know what I'm saying? So Busy get on the phone, he say, hey, go ahead and do your time, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is when you get out, you know what I'm saying? You know what we got going on. So I did my time, you know, got myself ready, prepared, getting up out of there. Once I got up out of there, it was on, you know what I'm saying? And it was on. It was no looking back from there. Got out, and I want to say maybe a week later, Crazy was pulling up, and I was on my way.
So oh wow. So what is it like once you get to Los? So what's it like when you get to Los Angeles with all of them, and you're meeting Easy and the whole Ruthless organization, and it's just like you realize like, yo, like I'm really in the big leagues now. Like I'm like
now at this time, Easy's dead. Easy's dead at this time.
Okay.
I never even made it. Yeah, I never even made it
to. All right, this is after he passed. Okay, got you.
Yeah, this is after he passed, and now I'm still in jail. Motel, they done gathered everybody up. I'm in jail.
Okay.
Motels is already gathered up, and they already recording and everything. That's why they got shots to the double Glock. That's why you don't hear me on shots to the double Glock, because I'm in jail. I'm in prison at this time.
Right.
And you don't. That's why you don't hear me on there. You hear me from everything that Motels did after shots to the double Glock, because I was in prison at the time. So once I came home, it was on from there for me. So that's when we got it popping.
Now, in terms of what was going on, yeah. So what was that situation like in terms of the business aspect that you found? Because, of course, Easy was, the guiding force behind them, and with his passing, pretty much they were kind of left to their, what they had learned in the game in a relatively short time, to their devices to kind of, steer the ship. What did you learn from watching them as, really pretty much from establishing the label to pretty much guiding all of you, the talent on the label?
Well, just basically what I learned was to really have your paperwork together. Whatever you're doing, have your tail covered as far as your paperwork. Make sure everything is lined up. Coming in, we didn't know anything about paperwork. All we knew was write, perform, write, record, perform. That's all we knew.
And repeat, right? Perform, record, repeat.
And it was just like that. Write, record, perform. Write, record, perform. So that's all we knew. So it was like and take photos and shit. So it was like, what do you do after that? So we dealing with that. We're not knowing about the business or the paperwork aspect of everything. We ended up doing something that we really regret to this day. We signed over 75% of our publishing. To who? Yeah. To who? We don't know. You feel me? But
we have an idea, but we're not going to say it on air.
Right. But the contracts that were placed before us, they were placed before us. We everybody's fumbling over these papers, and we looking dumbfounded. We young, we aspiring, artists, and we trying to get out here. We're not thinking these dudes is doing nothing crazy. So I think I remember making a suggestion, or I had made a remark, because I had thumbed through my contract, and I was like, you know what? I think I need to have somebody look at this. And I rolled it up. You know how as a kid, when you sit in school and you roll up your notebook paper and you roll it up into that little spiral like little like cone look like a javelin almost like. I had rolled the contract up in almost like a javelin like. It was rolled up that tight, and I stuck it in my back pocket. When I stuck it in my back pocket and said I wanted to let somebody look at it, Lazy was like, no, everybody go ahead and sign the contracts. Everything cool. Each group gonna have lawyers, you know what I'm saying? Everything blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. We didn't think of nothing of it. This our homie, you know what I'm saying? He came back, got us, you know what I'm saying? We about to rock out. So we signed the freaking contracts, not knowing what we signed,
Now on Off the Cuff Radio, we're not about incriminating or pointing out, faults in anybody, because we pride ourselves on just keeping it to the journalism fact. Now, who presented these contracts to you in terms of, was this Bone themselves, or was this the record label?
This is Motel, the label, Motel, record label. The officials there, gotcha. They, got put the contracts before us. We looked at the contracts, and once I made the remark and rolled up the paper and said what I said, and the response was everybody cool, everything cool, everything legit. Go ahead and sign these papers, and so we can get this ball, so we can get the ball rolling, and let's get it cracking. So everybody jumped up, everybody grabbed pens and started signing papers, because we ain't thinking we're gonna get jailed, nothing. We trusting. So we signed on the dotted line, not knowing what we signed, but we signed on the dotted line, and it went from there. Now, in the midst of that, we doing our thing. We meeting obligations. We recording. We performing. We on point. We where we supposed to be when we supposed to be there, and we doing that. And that's how that went.
Gotcha. Now,
with the Poetic Hustlaz album, did that come out around the same time as the Mo Thugs album, or did y'all release that afterwards?
No, actually, the first Mo Thug album came out. Then a few months later, Poetic Hustlaz came. The Poetic Hustlaz album came out like November 9th of '97. And then right after that, Mo Thug Family's Reunion came out a few months after that.
Gotcha.
So Poetic Hustlaz came out in between the first compilation and the second compilation.
And was that released on the Mo Thugs imprint?
Huh?
Was that album released on the Mo Thugs imprint?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mo Thug Relativity. Mo Thug Ruthless Relativity.
Okay, so this was a three-way deal in terms of. So I'm assuming, because Ruthless was the parent label that ultimately would distribute Mo Thugs, Relativity was the distributor. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Got you. Okay. So what was those studio sessions like when y'all are like getting in there and it's really like just like y'all really like, what was it like having the state-of-the-art studio and all of that and everybody's together and just recording?
Oh, it's bananas. Everybody doing their thing, everybody writing, music blaster, everybody recording, somebody in the booth spitting, everybody else writing or waiting on their turn to get in the booth, and and everybody doing their thing. It was bananas. But it was what it was supposed to be. Everybody was working.
Gosh,
there was a lot of smoke up there, right?
Definitely.
Everybody had smoke. Everybody was.
It stayed cloudy. Hey, let me tell you, it's so cloudy. My method of writing became this. I would smoke a couple of L's as I'm writing. We passing blunts around. I'm writing. I'll P.O. I'm hearing whoever go into the booth while I'm P.O. I hear them spitting. I hear them doing their thing. When it's my time to get in there, I probably done wrote like maybe like 5-6 bars. If that, sometimes I may only wrote like 2 or 3 bars. But guess what? When I wake up and it's my time to go in the booth, I got a whole verse. I got a whole 16.
Oh man.
I go in there with a
good.
whole 16. It's like I go to sleep and I envision what I want to say on the paper, and then when I wake up, I write it out, and then I go in the booth and I spit it.
Now, the members, how do their work ethics separate? Like crazies with work ethic and lazies and busies and wish. Like, do they differentiate?
No, everybody was there. Everybody worked together. You know what I'm saying? Somebody may be sitting on the couch, somebody may be sitting on a chair, somebody may be sitting on the counter, somebody maybe on the floor. Maybe somebody stressed out on the floor. A couple of dudes on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a couple of the chicks is on the couch, or you know what I'm saying? Everybody is listening to this beat, this track. Whoever's getting on this track, everybody's sitting there listening to this track and they writing wherever they at. Wherever you at. And that's how everybody was. And when it's your turn, to get in the booth, who going next? Who going in the booth next? All right, and that's how it go. Everybody state their claim.
You know what's ill now, man? See, we live in the stage now. We in the content era, and if you can find a way to get exclusive footage of all those recordings, that's a gold rush right there for us.
Yeah, man. So in terms of I know one thing about it is that you all were, definitely working. What was it like if somebody was pretty much everybody delivering the goods, or was there sometimes where maybe somebody didn't necessarily come up to par and y'all kind of told them, like, y'all got to rewrite this all over again?
Oh, yeah. It's been times, it's been times you've been told to rewrite some. It's very infrequent, though. It's never been. I've never heard too many times where it's like, no, you gotta rewrite that. Most times, whatever you deliver, that's what you deliver, and it was going. You know what I'm saying? But there were maybe like one or two times that I've ever heard somebody say, well, no, you should change that up, or you should rewrite that, or you know what I'm saying, redo that. You know what I'm saying? It's only been like maybe one or two times.
And I'm asking that because I remember. I'm asking that because I remember when I read the Wu-Tang book and by the RZA, and you guys was talking about the writing sessions in the studio, and he was like, imagine I get it kicked out of the booth once or twice for like 10 times because you did it because your verse. Because you guys talk about how he got kicked out of the booth a few times because his verses weren't on point. So, but he was like, it made him a better writer because they pushed him, to get better with it. Right, exactly. So by this time, pretty much everything's in full swing. So everybody, y'all, you're on the label, everything's moving. Biggie Smalls, rest in peace. The Life After Death album, 1997. Did you get a chance to meet him during that session for when they did Notorious BIG? Was he there with you?
Yeah, I was in there. If you ever see there's a picture floating around on the internet right now.
With everybody. Picture with 100 dudes in the studio. Good.
Yeah, I'm in the picture. I'm on the right. I'm on the far back right hand corner of the picture.
Got you. So what was that like? So what was that like to see Big just come in there and just like not only rip it, but he flipped the style that they had?
Man, it was bananas. It was bananas that whole night. Not only that, but we had just played. I think I want to say the night before. Either the same night, earlier that night, we just played the celebrity basketball game against Bad Boys at one of the local high schools here in Cleveland. That very same night. and that was actually my birthday. I can't remember how old I turned that day, but it was actually my birthday, and it was phenomenal for me because it was my birthday, and I'm doing something that I aspired to do as a child. I'm doing it, and we're at a platinum status now, and we're I'm working under a multi-platinum group, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and we putting in work, and they're putting in work with Biggie and Puffy. At that present time, it was phenomenal. It was great to be me at that time.
Definitely, because and also DJ Unique was one of the main producers that you all had during the time, was he not?
Yes.
Yes. Now, what was that like working with DJ Unique?
Well, actually, he was predominantly Bone's producer. He didn't really do anything for Mo Thug. They had a whole another group for yeah.
Right. So what was that? So who was y'all producer? Oh, go ahead.
But nonetheless, DJ Unique is a phenomenal producer. He has great tracks, and I love his work. I've always admired his work.
Yeah. Now, in terms of while we're reminiscing on memory lane about the good times, we know things sometimes aren't always as good. In terms of where you saw the trajectory, but before we get into that, when you saw your group album getting released, how did that feel to know like it had come to that point, like wow, everything I worked for, like here it is, like I actually got my own project. How did that feel during that time?
Well, for me, it was mind blowing for me because, like I said, this is something that I wanted to do as a child. Anyway, I always wanted to, write, record, and perform in front of a massive audience. So for me to be doing that, and for me to accomplish that, and then be in a group, and we're putting forth our first debut album, that was, I was living out, I was living the life. I'm living my dream.
What were some of your favorite videos working on that album?
You talking about as far as my album, Trials and Tribulations?
Yes.
Definitely, both videos were exciting for me, Day and Night and Trials and Tribulations. I just wish that we could have gotten more videos done, after that, But I enjoy both equally.
Yeah, them budgets can be a bitch when you're doing work and whatnot. I think that's something a lot of artists don't be looking at, and especially in the 90s, man, when you're dealing with budgets and, everything, we just reminisce, me and King, we'll just reminisce on some of them videos from back in the day. We'll be like, wow, they really put up some money for this.
They spent a whole million, just like that.
Yeah. And it was, we had a budget. We had budgets and stuff like that, but I think we were more. I think as far as the Poetic Hustlaz were concerned, we were more reserved in how we presented ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Just being who we are. We just rock what we like rocking, and we at one point, I don't know if you guys knew, we had like some type of deal with Adidas at some point, where we were rocking.
So y'all had an endorsement deal too.
Yeah, we had an endorsement deal with Adidas. That's why if you look at the album cover, that's why you see us in all that Adidas and stuff on the album, on a Poetic Hustlaz Trials and Tribulations album, and the inserts and all that stuff. That's why you see all the us and all that Adidas work, because we had an endorsement with those guys. So
let me find out y'all was catching Adidas was on everybody.
We were making some moves, and And that's where I'm like at a standpoint, hey, like what really happened? You know, because to this day it's like, what happened? You know, it was like we was just left in the dark. Like, you know, just 1 minute it was there, and then the next minute it was like poof, gone.
Now, and that's what I wanted to get to you earlier. Oh,
yeah. Well, I
go
was
ahead.
going to ask too. What you think it was also a part of the business equities that Bone Thugs and Harmony members themselves were going through, because they were going through that career transition with dealing with Ruthless as well. Do you think that played a part in handling you guys?
I really believe it did. You know, I've done so much speculating that, you know, at some point my brain started hurting. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something about it to you know in place of this. I'm going to figure something out to do in place of, you know, to fill the void that's been left. You know what I'm saying? I just can't lay down and just not do nothing else, not be me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to find an avenue and a way to come back to the forefront. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, just everything just being there 1 minute and then just poof, gone. It left me dazed for a minute. You know what I'm saying? For a long time I was dazed. I was really confused, like what happened. You know, like I really couldn't wrap my mind. Like I really couldn't wrap my mind around it. That's how deep in I was about this music thing. This is what I aspired to do. So yeah, so for this to happen, what the fuck happened? You know, this is my mind frame. Like, yeah,
right. When did you realize that there was trouble going on to where things were a bit rocky? What were the signs? Because as I said earlier, you know, as I alluded to, when did you kind of see the signs that things were beginning to get shaky in terms of what was happening?
My group member Tony Tone, he approached me one day. I was standing outside my mother's home one day, and I was waiting on Crazy to come pick me up. And in the midst of me waiting, Tony Tone pulled up on me, and he was like, "I'm done. I'm not doing nothing else until blase blase blah." So I'm like, "No, don't do it that way." I'm like, "Let's keep doing what we doing, because in the midst of us doing what we doing, it can't do nothing but fall into place. So let's keep repping us and keep the momentum going of what we doing. Let's keep that going. So at least we don't let that die. You know what I'm saying? And that Poetic Hustlaz, from there it was like, you know, I was repping this shit by myself, because at this point the other member of the group, he in jail at the time.
Oh wow! Now, and this is something, like I said, because this is the tricky thing about it, because we've seen this situation play out with a lot of other artists in terms of different labels, in terms of how, because you all were directly tied to Bone. So if there was some issues in terms of what was happening under Mo Thugs Records, that was going to directly affect you all.
Right.
You know, now in terms of the aspects of the business, this is, and I think for any artist, it's always a tricky thing to navigate, because you don't want to shit on the people that gave you an opportunity, but it's also by the same token, you want to address maybe certain things that did not go appropriate and were not, you know, they were not kosher in terms of how it was practiced. In terms of when did you see it in the terms of the situation that maybe you had to reassess it, and did you actually have to have a sit down with any of the Bone members about what was going on with this situation?
I think actually one of the ball members called a meeting one night, and actually brought us all in and asked us who had an issue, or who had been calling and talking to relativity because they needed not know what was going on or something or other.
Serious.
Yeah, it had got serious, to the point where, because folks is asking like, hey, where the money at? Where this at? Where that at? Where that at?
One of those meetings. Okay.
Yeah.
One of those meetings. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So when everything hit the fan, it's just like because if you ever realize, Trey had already left the scene. Trey Ben jumped off the ship after they did the little crossroad thing. You know what I'm saying? They did the little move with the crossroad, and then they bounced. They bounced first. Trey bounced from Mo Thug first.
Got you.
And then it was a trickle effect. Everybody else started leaving after that.
Yeah. And once again, we don't gossip or chatty patty up here because, like I said, we only speak on what's already been put out there publicly and has been documented in the journals. Because I think this is around. Now, was this culminating to the point to where they were having issues with Tamika Wright in terms of all of this?
Yeah.
Or was this coming? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is right around the time them and Tamika started having issues because that's where. For our listeners out there who may not know this whole story, and there's still a lot there, that we know and don't know. But we know, because you on the front lines, and of course we're not going to ask you to disclose any really, really terrible and sordid details about it. But we do know that there was some animosity between all of them. And I mean, the stuff that was flying in terms of rumors and innuendos, especially between Busy and Ms. Wright. I mean, some of that stuff out there was just crazy. I was like, I read this and I was like, me and King saw some of this and we were like, what? When in terms of the business of how business contracts are structured in terms of recording for artists, what did you learn the most in reference to how these relationships can deteriorate, and in turn, did that affect the friendship that you and Bone had because of the business issues that arose? What is your status with them to this day, and what was your status with them at that time?
Well, it became at that time you could see that there was starting to be distance. They really started distancing themselves from the artists. Started just being away from us, and we wasn't doing as many shows. We wasn't getting calls to do photos or appearances or anything like that. But we had a meeting one day, and I'm not gonna say any names. But I'm just gonna say that the meeting, the verbiage in the meeting went like this.
Okay.
What y'all gonna do when y'all back in Cleveland with none of the resources y'all got now? No photo shoots, no videos. No video shoots, no recording sessions, no nothing. No, what's y'all gonna do? And that's been embedded in me and stuck in me all these years. So when that question was raised, consciously,
that was more like a threat. I'm gonna just be real. That was more of a threat.
Consciously, as a man, I was like, wait a minute. this sound like this is, you know,
that's a threat.
It's it sound like, you know, either I'm gonna accept what's going on and keep riding, or you know, I'm gonna, you know, be fucked up. So at some point, it got to the point where I guess, you know, shit, motherfuckers was just like, shit, motherfuckers gonna be fucked up anyway, so just stop everything. That's how I'm feeling.
Wow.
Cause shit, once everybody got back to Cleveland or was in Cleveland, and wasn't nobody getting no calls like, hey, you got an appearance in Milwaukee, you know, they want you for a show, you know, we're not getting calls like that no more. We're not getting calls that we're going to LA to perform at such and such and such for such and such and such. You feel me? We're not getting calls that we're going to Timbuktu or Hawaii to motherfucking perform for a festival or something, a grand festival or something. We're not getting calls like this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, like, what the fuck? What the fuck going on? Now we're not performing no more. We're not getting no calls for appearances, nothing. So it's like, damn. So now reality's setting in. Like, damn.
Right.
This what that conversation was about. Now you feeling the effects of this conversation. And I'm replaying this conversation in my head. I'm replaying that question in my head every day to this day. I'm replaying that question in my head. And back then when that question was asked, I had a response, but I wasn't able or ready to give my response because I wasn't in a position to give my response yet. You feel me?
Right.
I'm ready to give my response now. I'm here now.
I think it's one of those things where you having the dialogue with somebody that you love, and you know how it is with family or friends. They say something real fucked up, and at first you don't catch it the first time. You like, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Did he just say what I just thought he said? But let me repeat that again. Let me play this a couple times.
Yeah.
Because that's
where it was, and that's where it was for me. I'm pretty sure everybody else in the room, I'm pretty sure it was like that for them too. You know, I'm pretty sure they was experiencing the same mental, you know, they was breaking it down the same way my mind was breaking it down. You can't receive that no other way for what it was, how it was intended when it was projected at you. You feel me? So I think something within me internalized that, and I've been driving off of that. I've been using that for fuel all these years. But at first I was fucked up behind it. I was messed up. You know, mentally I was shook because now what the fuck am I gonna do?
You know, and that's real because when you're in a position like that, that's why I said earlier that sounded like a threat, because whatever that conversation entailed, this was something that basically, you know, and I'm going to just say it, that basically went along the lines like either y'all going to fall in line or basically y'all just fall out of the picture completely. That's how it came off to me. You know, and
you feel me?
Yeah, and that's a situation where when you realize, you know, for anybody who's ever had a job, because at the end of the day, this is a job. You know, when you have a job and you realize, and basically you've been done kicked in the nuts a whole bunch of times and had your toes stepped on, you know, you're realizing, because you're at that precipice of knowing that at a certain point, you know, the gravy train is about to stop, or they're going to start rationing the gravy train for you, because sometimes the gravy train is just wet and everybody just got a surplus of the gravy, and then they start rationing the gravy, and then the gravy ain't as gravy as it once was. You feel me? So, but like you said, you know, in that position at the time, you're hoping, like you said, like King said, it's like you hoping it ain't how it came out, but then it came out how it was supposed to come out.
And that's why I rode as long as I did, and I'm the last one to leave the ship. I was the last one to leave the ship. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was the last one to come on the ship, and I was the last one to get off of the ship.
But you know, but at the end of the
irony
day,
is crazy.
You know, like Michael Corleone said, it's never.
I said the irony was crazy that you were the last one to get on. I mean, the first one to get on, the last to get off.
You just caught that, right? You caught that. I'm glad you caught that. I'm glad you caught that, because that's been my drive, man. That's been my drive all these years, man, to just keep going, because at that point I felt like something was at me. You know what I'm saying? Because why did that have to be the question? Why was that the question? You feel me? And we supposed to be who we are to each other, and we sitting at this table, and we brought here. You brought us here. You feel me? So why? You know what I'm saying? Damn. Like, what the fuck?
I think it's weird, bro, is that it's just the industry turns monsters and makes monsters out of other monsters. It's like. I call it the Michael Bivins factor, because you know how when New Edition got on, they was getting jerked by labels for years. Michael Bivins caught on, and he started learning the game, and he allegedly, I ain't say he did, allegedly started jerking Boys to Men and Another Bad Creation and other acts like that. So it could be a situation where...
Yeah. He had like 100 acts on the label at one time.
Yeah.
We're being facetious, y'all, but like he had like because you remember Mo and King when he had that East Coast Family video, and he had like all them groups that were supposed to come out on the label, like he had yeah, man, it's like he had Sam Rock, MC Brains, you know, ABC, White Guys. Hayden, Lady V. I mean, it was like he had like. Yeah, go ahead. MC Brains, not MC Bree. MC Brains is from Cleveland. I was trying to say MC Brains earlier when I said MC Bree. It's MC Brains. MC Brains from Cleveland. Yeah, it was an acronym, bringing rap and instruments nonstop.
Yeah. But yeah, back to what we were saying though. Yeah, like it got real. You know what I'm saying? At that point, it got real. So it's like, you know, what do you do from there? You know, and I've been using that as my fuel all these years. I've been using that as fuel.
So tell us about your exit in terms of, because your story is not uncommon, you know, where a lot of crews, you know, were labels. We saw what happened with Death Row. We saw what happened with Bad Boy. So we've seen situations with labels and artists where the business was not as it should have been in their eyes, and they ultimately decided to go. You know, shout out to Big Mike, you know, formerly of the Ghetto Boys. You know, we had him on a couple of times, and you know, there was, you know, he was on Rap a Lot, and then he ended up leaving Rap a Lot and then starting his own movement. You know, of course, we have Reginelli. You know, Reginelli. Shout out to Reginelli. You know, from the Gambino family that was on No Limit, and he gave us a very in-depth conversation about how the business was not right and no limit, and he ended up leaving along with a lot of other people. So, your situation is not uncommon in terms of when you realize it's not right and you have to move on. What was it like for you in terms of making that transition? How did that plant the seeds for your determination to grow and keep going in terms of your own movement and starting your own, just starting your own wave in your own lane?
Well, it definitely just pushed me. Just pushed me forward, but before I even got there, it's like I had to hit all the way rock bottom, to the point where it was like, I'm struggling financially. I'm having a hard time. I have children. I'm having a hard time with getting a job because I come home 2008 for I'm on trial. I fight a trial. I beat the trial, and now because of the severity of what I went to trial for is
the money for the lawyers.
Yeah, so it's like stuff is lingering to where it's like now it's affecting me. Like when they do the background check and look at me, they looking at me like, oh no, we don't even want no dealings with you. So now that's affecting me. That's another effect on my finances. Because now you're not gonna hire me because you see my background and you see this shit that shouldn't even be in my motherfucking jacket is in my jacket, and you looking at it and but you already made a judgment because I was in trouble for this. So now you done made your own mind up that okay, like I'm just gonna he's a felon. So now we're just gonna overlook him. So now I'm not looking for no handouts. I'm just trying to get out here and get mine so that I can care for mine. You feel me?
Right.
I just want to be able to care for mine. And in a sense, I had established that. And then for me to have to go backwards, it's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Then you got people browbeating you. They treating you like you ain't nothing. You ain't trying to get nothing. You don't want to be nothing. You ain't never been nothing, or you ain't never. But wait a minute. I was just the motherfucker. You was just kissing my ass. You was just kissing my ass. You know what I'm saying? When I was doing my thing. Now I'm not doing my thing. Now you're not kissing my ass. You know what I'm saying? It's like damn, like when was you ever real with me? You know what I'm saying? When was you ever really rocking with me? You know what I'm saying? You figure out who's really who. You know what I'm saying? And but you find out who's really
that's
who.
Real. That's real because the thing is that, and I think this is something in the game of music, and not only music but just entertainment, and just outside of that, just being upwardly mobile, because anything can happen at any time. And I think this is the part of hip hop at times that people really don't understand, because in terms of when we look at a lot of celebrities, we look at what happened with Mike Tyson, how he lost his money. You know, we look at situations with so many people in terms of how, the situation with T-Pain, where he ran into some financial issues. So it can happen. But at the most of it, people have to understand, before anything, we're all humans, and things can happen to any of us at any time. And, when there is, and that is a very crushing blow when, you're living a life and then you realize, that, you have to, when Ice Cube left NWA, Ice Cube will even tell you he was home for a while until he had to get back on his feet because of, because basically when Cube left, Cube had some money, but he didn't have all the money he should have had.
Right.
But he knew that he had to. This is what he loved, and he went out and he kept pushing and he fought his way back in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And in your situation, the fact is you got talent, and the fact is you were not responsible in terms of how you were treated, because you didn't deserve that.
Right.
That was not something you had brought to you, but ultimately you
Right.
did get burned by it. But the fact is you were able to at least see it. But what you said resonates, because through my personal experience, I've seen that. You find out who your friends are when you're down. You find out who they are when you're down, when you don't have much.
Yep.
And but you also know who your friends are that stand by you when you don't have anything, and are not only there with you, but it's like, how are we gonna get this back up again? That was real shit, man. That was real shit you said, man. I felt that. I felt
real.
That.
Yeah.
So moving on to your current situation where you're doing everything independently, is there any possible way you could have a reunion with the Poetic Hustlaz?
Say that one more time. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, my fault. I was breaking up a little bit. Now, do you guys have a possible Poetic Hustlaz reunion on the horizon?
I would love to. Right now, I'm in the talks with the guys right now. I spoke with Boogie Night a few nights ago, and I let him know I have a few tracks for us. Just to give it to the fans. You know what I'm saying? Let them know we still rocking stuff. He's with it. We haven't really talked to Tone yet. I don't know what Tone wants to do. He started something, but we hadn't really talking any more about it. Shout out to Poetic Hustlaz, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Tone, he's a pastor now. He has a daycare now. He has a daycare going, and he's doing his thing. Alongside the books. He has books out, and then Boog is doing his thing. So I'm trying to get them to collab with me on a few singles, or if we can put a album together, or even a tour. Just so we can get out here and perform some of the old and some of the new stuff. That would be lovely.
Yeah, that would definitely be lovely, man, because you guys had some great chemistry together, going back to that first album, and even with the recent song that you guys did with Soulja Boy, not Young Draco, but the real Soulja Boy from Old Thugs.
Right. The real Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy swagger jacking somebody from the man that originally laid down the master plan on the rhymes, man. How Draco's gonna do that? How Draco's gonna do that?
Yeah,
that's
man.
crazy.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the love, man.
Man, look, we appreciate you coming on and to just really tell us about it, because you really given us a side that a lot of people really don't get to see in terms of the, really understanding now things outside of the glamour and glitz, because we're so used to seeing rappers, everybody wants to talk about, they're living a life, this, that, and the other, but the fact is, as I said, y'all are people. We're people. We're all human. We have emotions. We have our highs and our lows, and we deal with things in terms of really just maintaining, the fact that you're still, actively involved and still dedicated to the culture makes you want to be authentic ambassadors of it, for the fact that you're in it for the love and for the longevity.
Yeah.
And that's something that is really, that's something that's important in the game. And I think that's something we, at times, with some artists today, we don't see enough of, that they really
you don't see
have
enough of
love for the Yeah, their thing is, I can jump on Instagram or YouTube and act crazy for antics to get attention, but my love for the culture is not authentic. I love the amenities that come from it, but I'm not really understanding what it means.
Right. Right.
What is your opinion? What is your view today in terms of some of the artists in reference to how they have gotten into the game and what's going on as to how they represent the culture?
Well, I'm just going to put it bluntly like this: it's everything is repetitive. You know what I'm saying? If you really take the time to listen, everybody's talking about the same thing. No one's talking about anything of substantial, of substance. You know, everything is repetitive. It's the same message. You know, you just got a different tone to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not creativity. You know what I'm saying? You just expressing something with a different tone to it. You know what I'm saying? But you saying the same thing that old buddy just said. You know what I'm saying? So it's become repetitive. You know, back when the Grace was doing it, you had diversity. You know, everybody was talking about any and everything, but we were talking about things of substance, things that you can really think about and be like, yeah, that's an idea. You know, you want to give your listeners something to spark something in them that make create something in them. You know what I'm saying? To be who they are, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta light the fire. Maybe it's something they listen to from you that may spark their flame to get on their thing. You know what I'm saying? And do what they do. You know what I'm saying? This is how you extend creativity and you know just awareness, man. This is how you extend it.
And to build off this question here, I'm pretty sure you looking for the outside in, and we all been looking for the outside in about the old versus the youth in hip hop, that current gender gap that we're currently going on. And Bone, they got in the middle of this late last year with the Migos. And what do you guys take on that? Do you take that there's still real disrespect for a lot of the pioneers that laid it down, or do you think that the older guys are just hating?
As far as that concerned, I'm really I'm not for sure because you know I stand out the way. I don't like to be in the mix of nonsense a lot. So
right.
I try to stay out the way, but on that note, I just want to say is you know I'm not with the negativity. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to be a part or involved in or associated with anything negative. I like to stay away. You know what I'm saying? I like to stay away from it. I want to be on some laid back, cool, just peaceful. You know what I'm saying? Coexisting with others. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about being against. Unless you're a person that's about hate and stuff, then yeah, I'm against you. But if you're about love and upscaling and encouraging and uplifting, yeah, I'm with that all day, and I'm gonna back that all day. I'm gonna back positivity all day. I'm not gonna back no nonsense. You feel me? That's just cut and dry substance.
I think it goes both ways too. I believe if both of them, and this is the way I see it. I see it as if both genders embrace one another,
genres.
It would strengthen the culture. Right. It would strengthen the culture for real, because I love to hear, like, for example, you hear like a Kendrick Lamar rocking with a Nas, or you see J. Cole, he's rocking with Gangstar on the latest joint.
Mhm.
So I like seeing those type of collabs because it also furthers the growth of the culture. Separatism don't really get us anywhere.
Because you got two minds, Because you got the two minds, expressing, so you get the both views. But you got sometimes where you got people that don't respect either view, or respect one sided more than the next. You know what I'm saying? So it's at some point, go ahead.
And I think that's why the Migos incited so much ire with Bone behind it, because the Migos already, for what reading their story, and shout out to MTV.com for the phenomenal story they did on them a couple of years ago, because it was a great story about how they started. I will say this on the air. While the Migos have become very popular, I do think that they let it go to their heads at a certain level in terms of where they're at, and when they've made that remark about they're the greatest rap group ever, I'm like, no, no, you're not. You're not. Let's just get it out there. You're not the greatest
That's
ever.
Smoke talking.
But the fact is that, but to get into it with Bone, who are legends, and then even flirting with it on the street level, which we all know they do not want it with those guys on a street level.
Right.
But in terms of just the genres, in terms of it, I'm like, listen, these are the guys that paved the way for you to come in. But for you to just undercut them and to say, well, we're the greatest ever, I'm like, no, you're just one of the most popular. Popular does not necessarily mean great. It is not synonymous.
Right.
And it's like, I'm like, Bone, for whatever problems went down, Bone is still one of the greatest groups ever. And lyrically, when you break down, I'm like, when you break down lyrically, exactly. I'm like, when you break down lyrically some of the stuff that they said on Wax, when you really look at the lyrics, they were saying some shit. I checked the Migos lyrically. I'm not even gonna get us shut off the air about what I'll just say this: compare the Migos lyrics, compare Bone's lyrics, and make your choice to our audience out there in terms of who you think really brought the heat on the microphone.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Or as Rakim would say, know the ledge.
Yeah, know the ledge. No, but see, that's where I think that's where the divide came in at, because you have a lot of the younger culture not recognizing or respecting the foundation. They gotta understand that in order for them to be where they at, you had to come from somewhere. You just not gonna come in and just no, you didn't create this. You didn't format this. No, there were forefathers that were here before you that paved this way for us to be able to stand in this forum like this. You know what I'm saying? And you can't overshadow that or overlook that. You have to give homage and respect where it's due. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Maybe you're popular at this very moment, but that doesn't mean that you're the greatest of all time because you're popular at this point in time.
That's like saying some of these young boys in the NBA who think they're so hot, but it's like, you couldn't have survived playing the way that they did in the 80s and 90s, as physical as that game was. And it's the same thing with a lot of these artists. Back in the day with a lot of these artists today, it's like today they got YouTube, they have all types of social media to promote it. Back in the day, you had Rap City, BET, and the video box, and the radio before it got corporate. So if your shit was hot, you was on all four of those mediums, and you was getting burned. If you was not, you was not even getting on the radio. You was not even on. You just won't get in that play. But it's a lot of artists have fallen into a false sense of insecurity today because of how easy it is to get known out there. And they don't understand back in the day, it was really, you really had to have skills to get on the microphone. And not only that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You had to have skills.
It was a protocol, too. It wasn't a situation where if you had the bag, you could get in. You had to get into the cipher and showcase your skills to get in part of a group.
Right.
Protocols are different now than it was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You had to battle at least about 50
you know,
niggas on the block before you even get to talk to the to the head conductor of the group.
Right. Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But
you got to go through channels.
But you know, but because it's a different game now, you know, this is not to diminish what the Migos have accomplished, but it's like the thing is, I tell anybody, any artist coming in, it's like, you know, when you look at what a lot of artists had to go through in terms of really being recognized, that is a whole different type of it's a whole different, like King said, it's a whole different protocol, you know. And it's easy to think that you're the greatest when it's pretty much been facilitated for you being easy to do it, you know, with technology, you know, and how that's pretty much made it more efficient in terms of being able to get your stuff out there. But it doesn't mean by any means that you're the greatest. It just means your path may have not been as arduous as the person before you. But I think some of these artists today have to understand that, you know, what you did, you know, Poetic Hustlaz, what Bone did, y'all really have some hot shit that really was, you know, influential and monumental. And that's the main thing, man. You know, you got to have something that is, I tell any artist today, think about making music that 20 years from now is going to be a staple. It's going to be studied. It's going to be critiqued. It's going to be looked at as high art. It's going to be looked at as a milestone. For what you all did in your time is something that can never be taken away, and it's timeless.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. And that's what my mindset was. That was my mindset going in, you know, going into doing anything that I've ever done, you know, vocally. I wanted to be able to give something to the listener. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just there just to be ranting and raving or just spewing off words to you. I'm delivering a message and everything, and I'm spitting to you. Or you know what I'm saying? I'm giving you something that I'm pretty sure that somebody can relate to, whether it be you or maybe, you know what I'm saying, somebody that you know that was going through something. You know what I'm saying? I'm never want to just be ranting off something just to be, you know, filling a song. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you something to listen to. That's the meaning of that's the meaning of listening to something. You to listen to something means you're listening to it. So for me to give you, in order for my listeners to listen to something that I'm presenting, I have to make sure that it's presentable. You feel me? And I have to be able to speak in a way that they can understand me or relate to me. You feel me? So I take all that into consideration when I write. When I write and record, I'm taking all of that into consideration because I'm thinking about who's listening to it.
Yep.
Definitely.
But yeah, brother, as we wrap this thing up, man, I just want to tell you that it's an honor and appreciation you joining us and chopping it up over this 2 hours, giving us this tour guide of your career, the ups and downs of business, the highlights, what you doing lately. We're going to definitely support you in continuation of making this grind happen, pushing your new music. And anytime that you want to bring the whole Poetic Hustlaz crew in, just let us know. We can make that happen.
Okay, no doubt. I appreciate y'all for having me. I really appreciate that.
You have any shout-outs you want to give out?
Definitely want to shout out my little bunny.
my 8-month-old, you know what I'm saying? We want to shout her out. Daddy love you very much. I want to shout out the Drake clan, you know what I'm saying? Then I want to shout out Heartfelt Entertainment, BHP. Love and respect. Thank you for grinding with me, rolling with me, and just motivating me and just keeping me going, just keeping me uplifted to keep this movement going. The King of Hearts is here. Mo Hart is on the way, baby. We here and we doing our thing.
Most definitely, man. We about to sign out over here, right here. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, 8 Central Time. We got Cali Pitt from the South Central Cartel joining us. So we're going to sign out right here. Y'all have a blessed night. And I'm going to have the replay of this episode up probably sometime next week. So be on the lookout.
Queen Lily, I love you. Queen Lily, I love you. Deja, I love you.
Oh, gotta shout out the babies.
The babies.
All right.
We out of here, y'all. Holla, holla.
Yep.